Okay, so I have no idea how this works. So we're gonna test it out, see if I'm even getting any volume on this motherfucker. Alright, well, I mean, it sounds weird, but it seems to be working. So, hi guys, welcome to another episode of I Bought a Microphone. This one's gonna be a little weird. I am currently driving to California and recording this in my car. So there might be some background stuff that goes on. You might hear me yell at somebody, though I'll probably edit that stuff out. But anyway, I'm behind on this one, I know. Just fucking life getting in the way. You know how that shit goes, working, and now I'm driving to California. So I figured, I got a couple hours in the car doing nothing, so might as well do something while I'm doing nothing, right? Not really sure what I was gonna talk about, though. I mean, comic books always seems like a good place for me to go, anyway. I've been kind of super duper back into comic books lately. My love of comic books started sometime in the early 90s, I want to say. That was the big comic book boom back then. That was the big speculator bubble of comic books really exploded in that point when people started to realize that they were worth something. So that's when a whole mess of stuff started happening. New companies cropping up and popping up, and first editions and special editions, and silver embossed covers, and different versions of the same comic book that are more rare, supposedly worth more, blah 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 blah. That was the idea. Anyway, of course, the reason that Spider-Man issue 1 is worth so much is because so many issues of those got pulped and destroyed over the years. Now there's 50 of those bad boys left or whatever. I don't know what the actual number is, but there's limited supply. But if you want X-Force #1, there's fucking thousands of them out there. I've got 2 copies. So yeah, not really appreciated in value very much over the years, those comic books. I mean, that's initially what got me into it. But then I started learning about things, started reading them, started getting into stuff. I mean, I was always kind of into it, but never really, more I just thought things were cool. I liked, of course, everyone likes fucking Wolverine. I've come to really dislike, not dislike Wolverine, but I'm kind of sick of him. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But, yeah, comic books, they were a new world to me. Because you can do, I was a big fan of movies, always have been. And that was kind of my thing back in the day. Watch movies so much you could quote it all the way through. You play the quote game with your friends. You say a line from a movie. They gotta guess what it's from. So it's gotta be obscure, but it can't be well known. If I was gonna do Star Wars, I wouldn't go with May the Force be with you. That's a little too obvious. I would maybe go with something a little less obvious, but still obviously from Star Wars, you'll be dead. And that's, especially when you say it like that, if you know Star Wars well enough, you'll pick that up. But anyway, comic books. So it's this cool thing, because, with movies and stuff, you got budgets you got to worry about, you got technological limitations and shit like that. But with comic books, you don't have that. All you're limited with is, space on a page. So you can do whatever you can conceive of. There's no limits, there's no budgetary limitations. So the ideas can go wild and all over the place. Or, conversely, since there's no real need to keep up, to have like a box office, because you get a steady monthly profit margin, hopefully, especially in the 90s. So because of that, you can focus on smaller, more interesting stories. That's a lot of what they're doing these days, which I think are cool, like small, short runs of just like an interesting idea. Not something that's meant to go on for years and years and years, but just something that they want to try out. Like there's this miniseries is about 12 issues that they did not a couple years back called Vision, and it's about the character Vision, who, if you've seen any of the Marvel movies, you know who I'm talking about. He's Ultron's son, can phase through walls and stuff, but he has a bit of an emotional breakdown because of his relationship with Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch. It goes bad. Things happen. Children die, if I remember correctly. I don't know all the details. But anyway, he goes through a real bad time and decides to cut himself off of emotion. And he creates a family for himself. A wife, Vision, and a daughter and son, Vision. And they have a little robot dog. And just, starting there, never know what to expect. It was one of the darkest, most disturbing, but also like just really well done pieces of comic book fiction I've ever, or just fiction in general that I've ever read. It was really good. And I like that they can do shit like that now, which they couldn't do in the 90s, because everything was about, oh, this is a new character, we're introducing a new character, and this is a remaking of this character, and this is a special one-time only version of this, and this one's got a hologram in the cover, and ugh. But anyway, that's when I got into comic books, and I took a break in my teenage years. Not so much that I didn't still like him or anything. I've always been into him, but they take money if you want to really do it right. You can't really go to the library and check out comic books, so at least not in the variety. I don't know, maybe they have graphic novels now. I haven't been to a library in probably 10 years. But, that's me. Weird like that. Where's that going? But, I recently, over the last probably 3 or 4 years, I've really been getting back into them. Reading some of the stuff from the 90s that I'd missed, like the 90s Ghost Rider. They redid him, and that's some crazy stuff. Reading some new shit that I haven't had experience with yet. There's this really, like the Vision series I was talking about, there's a really cool series about Mockingbird, who's one of the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. She doesn't really have any superpowers. She just beats people's asses with billy clubs, and they had her character on the show. She was the one that was Hunter's ex-wife, Bobby. Good stuff. But anyway, let's talk about Wolverine for a minute, because that's something I gotta say. Wolverine and Batman. Alright? I'm sick of them for different reasons, but main reason is fucking oversaturation. And a lot of it's got to do with the movies. I love the fucking X-Men. I mean, I really do. I think it's a great property. I think it's got a lot of really good ideas, and I think in the hands of a more interesting director, like the guy who did First Class, which is the best X-Men movie ever made as far as I'm concerned. But put it in the hands of a proper director, it could be a really interesting and moving story. It doesn't have to fucking be about Wolverine all the time. And I mean, part of it's Hugh Jackman. The guy's got fucking star quality coming out of his ass. And, you know, he fit that role perfectly. But, you know, there are other characters that are equally as compelling as Wolverine. You just gotta find the right actor to do it. And we can fucking move on. I mean, again, I like Wolverine as a concept, and I've read a bunch of his solo stuff, you know, the stuff that he did on his own outside of the X-Men. So, I mean, for one thing, things I don't like about Wolverine, overexposure is one. I mean, not everything has to be about fucking Wolverine. I mean, this is how ridiculous Marvel Comics is. They kill off Wolverine, but it doesn't matter because they already got two other characters that are exactly like Wolverine. You got X-29, his daughter. She's got claws in her hands and her feet. Woo! But she's still part of the Weapon X program, so she's got that whole secret backstory, Berserker, Killer Rage, and all of that shit. And then you got Old Man Logan, who is Wolverine from the future, a dystopian future where all the X-Men are dead. So he's already Wolverine. He's just older. Like, so you kill off Wolverine, but you don't really kill off Wolverine. You got two other Wolverines to take his place. It's ridiculous. Ugh. Anyway. So oversaturation. It's a problem. There's too much Wolverine out there. Let's fucking just move on. Just try something else. And he's too powerful. I'm sorry, he's too powerful. In the 70s and 80s when he was first created, I mean, he had the healing factor and all of that, but he wasn't invincible. Like, there's actually a scene from the Days of Future Past where Rachel Summers, the daughter of Scott and Jean Grey Summers, has sent Kitty Pryde back in time to warn the X-Men of an assassination plot that's supposed to set off a chain of events that creates the mutant internment camps and, you know, registration and all of that horrible shit. So in the future, there's a big battle going on trying to defend Shadowcat and Kitty Pryde so that they can complete their mission. And Wolverine's in that fight. He gets fucking demolished by a Sentinel. Yeah. He gets fucking demolished by a Sentinel. Like, atomized. And he dead. He ain't coming back. But somewhere along the way, they decided that, you know, as long as one little cell is available, he can regenerate. Like, this guy in the Civil War stories, Wolverine fights this guy Nitro, who's the guy who started the whole business. And he blows up an area and fucking Wolverine is just bones. Like, just bones. You know, adamantium covered bones, but bones nonetheless. So you think that'd be it. There's nothing for him to grow back from, but, you know, he grows back. He's perfectly fine. So there's no stakes, there's no danger, and when there's no danger or anything like that, I mean, It's lame. It's not interesting to me when you're that powerful. It's like fucking Superman. Like, that's why I don't give a shit about Superman, because he's way too fucking powerful for me to ever care. Like, oh, what's gonna put him in danger? I mean, something that's gonna destroy the whole planet, basically. And I mean, at that point, when the scales are that, tipped and that, when the situation's that dire, obviously you need Superman. Nobody else is gonna be able to do it, and that's another thing that irritates me about Superman. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Wolverine, and to a lesser extent Batman. I mean, it bothers me. So that's, yeah. So, there's, again, oversaturation is fucking, he's way too powerful. Those are the main reasons that I'm done with Wolverine. I could take or leave Wolverine. I hope he stays dead for a while, and they figure out something good to do with the X-Men. And I mean, how does your body know what to grow back, right? Like, we shed 1,000 skin cells a day, or whatever Gattaca says. So does he not shed skin cells because he's constantly healing? Or is he replacing the skin cells that he's shedding as quickly as he sheds them? And if he's doing that, wouldn't his skin cells that he's shedding also be self-healing? So wouldn't those skin cells then create yet another Wolverine? So shouldn't there be Wolverines all over the place that have regenerated from his skin cells? Or, see, he doesn't lose skin cells, so that's fine, right? Let's say that's the case. But he gets an ear chopped off, right? That falls to the ground. How does that ear know not to grow another Wolverine out of it? And don't talk to me about it's not connected to a central nervous system or some bullshit like that, because like I said, he could get his entire body burned away and it'll still grow back. And that just befuddles me. I'm befuddled. But that's, again, it's a comic book logic, don't make no sense. That's absolutely fine. Remind me to tell you the story of Captain America's death one day. That's a complicated piece of, and his rebirth. Yeah. But anyway, it irritates me. So yeah, Wolverine, overexposed and too powerful, and for as good a character as he is, definitely less compelling now than he was, through the 80s and 90s when you didn't know anything, when his backstory was all shrouded in mystery and shit. Plus he's Canadian, which, sorry, but that takes a couple notches off your belt as far as I'm concerned. I'm just kidding. I have nothing against Canadians. Just as an American, I'm supposed to, so I stick with the stereotype. And then there's Batman, which again, a lot of my problems with Batman have to do with the movie Batman's. The Christopher Nolan movies, those are they're definitely better than the Joel Schumacher and Tim Burton Batman movies. But it seems to me like everyone who's made a Batman movie doesn't really know enough about Batman or really give a shit about what Batman does, what his deal is. Tim Burton, Joel Schumacher, and Zack Snyder have Batman blatantly killing people. Like, not even accidentally killing people. Like, blatantly choosing to shoot people with machine guns and drop people off buildings, strap bombs to their chest and drop them in sewers. Like, some pretty fucking gruesome ass shit from Batman, who, one of his main deals, man, is protecting life. I mean, that's one of his primary things. His family were slaughtered in front of him, and he's like, you know, I don't want this to happen to anybody ever again. Now, again, I realize there are older versions of Batman where he wasn't quite so cautious. I mean, he never murdered anybody. He would occasionally kill a bad guy by accident. Just, you know, dude's crawling out a window, you kick him in the face and you accidentally snap his neck because he came in too hard. Like, that's something that actually happened in a Batman comic. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about people blatantly killing Batman. So then you got Christopher Nolan. He gets that part, and he gets what the Batman character is supposed to be. But he seems way more interested about seeing what Batman would look like in real life versus exploring what's cool and interesting about Batman. So he's got the fancy body armor suit that limits his mobility, and he's got the stupid tank that he drives that's got the little, what is that turret all about? How he, like, the seat pulls forward and then it moves to the middle, and why is that necessary? Can't you just fire it from the driver's seat? Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But that's yeah, so again, that's less to do with about Batman than more to do with how cool it would be if you could do all this, or how, if you needed to do this in the real world, what it would look like. At least that's what it feels like to me. The second one gets a little deeper. It's a bit more into, you know, why Batman does what he does and all of that. And I mean, they touch on it occasionally here and there, like when Katie Holmes says the line, you know, then I found out about your mask. And he's like, no, I just gotta defend the city. And she's like, no, this is the mask. Bruce Wayne is the mask. Batman's who you really are. Like, that's some deep shit right there. But that's the thing. Like, he's not the Bruce Wayne. I mean, Bruce Wayne is who he was born, but Batman's who he became. And Batman's who he is day in, day out. Morning, noon, and night. Yeah, this is a real... Sorry, dude. I don't know why you got stuck behind Mr. 70 here. What Mr. 70 is even doing. Okay, sorry, I was talking about Batman. Got distracted. So I'm not crazy. I haven't been really crazy about any Batman movies. You know, I used to like the Tim Burton ones, but revisiting them, knowing what I do now about comic books and about movies, and they're not great. Serviceable. The Joel Schumacher ones are garbage. He was more interested in it looking like a comic book than anything else, really, it seemed to me. Like story or good performances or anything. He didn't give a shit about any of that. He just wanted it to look like a comic book. Batman Begins has some good parts to it. Liam Neeson, always love that guy. It's Ra's al Ghul. Sorry, spoiler alert. Whatever, that movie's fucking 10 years old. So. Whatever, that movie's 15 years old, so I don't really give a shit. Or however old it is, 13. The Dark Knight, of course, is as close to perfect of a Batman movie as I think we're ever going to see. Though it cannot be a perfect Batman movie without Robin in it. And that's another thing I hate about the stupid Batman movie universe, because he's always alone. Batman is, you picture him as a loner. He's got 1,000 friends. He's got fucking Huntress, and he's got, what's-her-face, Black Canary, and he's got Robin, he's got the Red Hood. There's a bunch of people running around in the shadows with him. Batgirl? Let's not forget about Batgirl and Oracle, who's his paralyzed former Batgirl friend. Batgirl / friend. Yeah, Batman's not a loner. He doesn't fight in the darkness alone. Against all odds, by myself. No, he's got a bunch of weird friends that hang out with him, also in costume, and fight crime. Dude, that's what the Arrow TV show is closer to Batman than any of the Batman movies have ever been. Except he killed a lot of people. That's, I don't think Batman ever went on a murder rampage. So my beef with Batman really is, again, oversaturation. Like, we can do movies about other DC characters that aren't Batman. The Flash has needed to have a movie for decades, and we're finally in a place technologically where we can do it justice, make it super cool. I think it's time to do that. Even if he's not blonde. I will accept the Flash movie with a Barry Allen who's not blonde. Even a Wally West. Okay, so I don't know how I'm going to edit this together or how any of this is going to work, because I've never really used this program before, but that'll be fun. So why am I even talking about Wolverine and Batman? Why do they matter to me? I gotta say, there's a few things that bring me true joy in my life. Like joy, like giddiness, like I feel like a child again, or something. I get that kind of enthusiasm. Very few things that actually do it. Used to be Star Wars, but man, that's been beaten out of me over the years. I just can't. I'm fucking... Star Wars fans are just the worst fucking people in the world, I swear to God. I don't understand. their deal? Why? They spend so much time hating what they supposedly love. Why do you call yourself a fan if you hate it so much? You're not a fan, you're a detractor. I don't know what the opposite of a fan is. Detractor's as good a word as any. So, I mean, that's kind of gone. My love of Star Wars has been stomped on just too many times. But, I mean, I do still get that nerdy enthusiasm for Marvel movies. The MCU, I think, is a really cool thing. A lot of people seem to like it too, which is good. Some people don't like it for various reasons, and those people are idiots, so that's fine. We don't need to worry about those people. But it's such a well-crafted world, and everyone's connected in it, and that's really cool. And the characters that they created for the movies are very much like the characters that I loved as a kid and do so now. And I want something like that for the DC movies and the X-Men movies, because I don't feel the same way. Every time an X-Men movie comes out, I'm like, alright, how did they fuck it up this time? That's literally my first thought. Now, we had a couple of decent ones. I still think X-Men United is pretty good. Bryan Singer didn't make the best X-Men movies in the world, but that one's pretty good. Again, it's all about Wolverine. Somehow they contrived a way to make the first one all about Wolverine, even though it was supposed to be introducing the X-Men as an ensemble to the world. And then the second one, we just make it about more Wolverine. I don't even remember the third one. I remember hating it a lot. We just forget that thing ever got made. Then First Class came out, which I really liked. Going back to form, you got Michael Fassbender, who's a bad motherfucker. He's one of my favorite actors, personally. I don't know why I said my and personally. He's one of my favorite actors, alright? I think he's great. And the kid, McAvoy, James McAvoy, as Professor Xavier. I also like him. I don't know why I called him the kid. But I first saw him in the Children of Dune miniseries, where he played the son of Peter Atreides, or Paul Atreides, I should say. He played the son of Paul Atreides. I can't remember the son's name. The one that goes and gets all half worm and becomes like a superhero himself. It's a fucking weird story. Ugh. But anyway, we're not talking about Dune. We will talk about Dune one of these days. But yeah, I love the MCU, and I want that love. I want to feel that love for the X-Men movies. Everyone fucking thought Logan was great, and maybe it was. But I was just like, another fucking Wolverine movie? I couldn't summon up enthusiasm for it. And it's actually not bad, especially for a Wolverine movie. X-Men Origins Wolverine, that was this big old fart. The second one, somehow that dude managed to make a boring action movie. I don't know how they fucking did it. I can't explain it to this day, but that movie was just so dull and lifeless. I don't know, it did nothing for me. But I mean, they're getting back to it, I think. Logan was a supposedly Jackman's last Wolverine movie, so hopefully they just leave Wolverine alone for a while and try to... Hopefully they leave Wolverine alone for a while and try to make another movie about one of the other 20,000 X-Men characters that are just as cool. Ugh. Or maybe not just as. Almost as. Ugh. Unbelievable. So yeah, Days of Future Past was good. And then Apocalypse, it was okay. It was okay. I personally thought it was terrible, but nobody else seems to agree with me, so maybe I'm just judging that shit too harshly these days. So that's that. The DC Extended Universe that they're trying to do. They got all those Batman movies that they're tying in. They got that Superman movie that was horrible. The Green Lantern movie, which has since been written out of canon. It never happened. Because it was so bad. They got Wonder Woman. That was something. Suicide Squad, which nobody likes. I admit that it's a bad movie. I still enjoy it. I can't tell you why. Batman v Superman, which is an abomination unto popular society and should again be erased from the record books, and we should just pretend that it never happened. If you want a good synopsis of that, there's a guy on YouTube called Movie Bob that does these, he does movie reviews. I'm sure you can tell that from his name. But he also does this series called Really That Good, which explores movies that we loved in the past and see if that was, something that we loved just because we loved it, or is it something that we, or was it really that good? Like he did one on Ghostbusters, the first two Spider-Man movies. But anyway, he does an opposite series to that, just for this one movie, Batman v Superman, called Really That Bad. And he breaks down in so much detail, way better than I ever could, why that movie sucks. It's like, it was supposed to be like a two-parter, I believe. I think the whole thing ramps out at like 4 hours. I think they're like 90 minutes apiece, and there's 3 of them. Something like that. Did I do my math wrong on that? Something like that. 3.5 hours. He gets into it. He gets into the nitty-gritty. But it's a bad movie, and I'm not going to defend that stance. If you don't think it's bad, then I can't help you. That's fine. You obviously don't care about comic books, which is fine also. I mean, if you want to go into those movies completely ignorant of the source material and enjoy it on that level, I'm not going to stop you. I mean, why would I? This is America. But I'm going to keep hating the movie. And then Justice League, which I totally expected to hate, I don't know, I actually kind of enjoy it. I've talked about that actually on this podcast before. Yeah, I think it's diggable. I like Batfleck. God help me. I think he's awesome. He just needs to stop killing people. And yeah, Wonder Woman was fantastic. So they have some potential there. I mean, Justice League is it's a bit of a mess, but it's actually a watchable, coherent movie. And Wonder Woman was, like I said, fantastic. So they can actually start to make some good stuff if they try harder. They just need to... I mean, Zack Snyder, my man, you gotta fucking lighten up a little bit. Nothing... doesn't always have to be so fucking dark and dour. It's supposed to be colorful and enjoyable. Like, comic books are... triumph over adversity. Their themes are all about overcoming obstacles and making ourselves better people and the betterment of the world around us. it's not about, it doesn't have to be about how horrible things are and are always going to be. I mean, you've got your Punishers, and he's killed so many people, and yet crime never seems to slow down. So I don't really know what he thinks he's doing. But he's just going to keep on shooting people. So you got dark places you can go, but yeah, I don't know. That's the main reason why Batman and Wolverine were on my mind. I just want to get excited about another movie franchise, especially one that's got to have a tangential comic book connection. That's always important to me. See, I didn't have any real coherent thoughts about how this conversation was going to go. I just started recording because I figure I had some time to kill while I was in the car. Again, if there's anything you guys ever want me to touch on, or ever any questions or anything that you have, you can always drop something in the comments and I'll get back to you. Sorry about the audio on that last episode. I don't honestly know what happened. It sounded really good when I first recorded it and went through it. And then I went through and started playing with the volume levels because I didn't want the songs to be... The songs were like really loud compared to my vocals. And when I went through and tried to normalize all that shit, somehow I lost some of my speaking. I don't know why. It kept fading in and out. So I hope it wasn't too distracting. Not that anyone listened to that last episode, really. But, you know, it's there if you want to check it out. Both on SoundCloud and on YouTube. I think the songs came out really good. Like I said, the interspersed part where I'm talking about the songs, that part. For some reason, the vocals kept going all over the place. So, like I said, I'm still learning. Nobody's paying me to do this, so anyway, I'm figuring it out as I go along. I'm digging it though. I enjoy it, and I like kind of playing with it, doing stuff like this where I'm recording while I'm driving and seeing the world. Not that the fucking drive between Phoenix and California is any beautiful fucking drive. It's real pile of dirt. And yeah, I will talk to you guys next time. I've been doing them about every 2 weeks. I don't know if you've noticed. So usually Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, I'll post it in the evening, and then I'll put up the links to it on the following day on my Facebook page. And that seems to be working for me, so that's the schedule I'm going to stick with, at least for now. So yeah, so 2 weeks from now, you should, 2 weeks from Friday, there should be another one within a day or two. This one's going to be posted late. I'm recording it on Sunday as I'm driving in, so I'll probably get it up tomorrow, if not tonight. And then I'll post the links tomorrow. So, yeah. That's what we're doing. That's how we're doing it. So just keep your eyes peeled, you know. If you subscribe to my channel, I'm sure you'll get notifications on when my stuff drops. So there's another thing you can do. So yeah, I hope you guys are having a good time. I will talk to you soon. I love you guys. This is Matt signing off.